dads make predictions, then hope you forget about how wrong they were. But not Mackie and Judd.
Write this down.
This is the big leagues, where we own our terrible predictions.
Write that down.
And keep track of each other's batting averages. It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down?
With Mackie and Judd.
Yes, welcome in to the most innovative segment in all of sports talk. The only show in America that keeps track of our predictions with statistics. Although I think it's early in the morning. It's like the first hour of the NFL Network Sunday pregame show. People have sent us messages that they have stolen this segment.
What?
That they have a segment called like Write This Down where they make predictions every week. I have not seen it yet, but I've heard the rumors.
It's weird because I was listening to the Levitard show a few weeks ago, and they now have a reckless speculation sounder where Poppy literally says reckless speculation.
What?
So yes, Poppy now they do a speculation segment, and he literally says reckless speculation.
See, what I don't want to happen here, we are the innovators on Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily. Okay, we have been for many, many years. Quite frankly, I don't want people to think now that we are stealing segments from these national shows. Like
They're
people are going to
shows.
hear Levitard podcast or NFL Network and be like, "Oh, you guys are just come up with your own material, Judd. You guys are just stealing stuff from Dan Levitard." I don't want that to happen. Should we send a cease and desist, a content cease and desist?
Yeah, might have to.
I don't think that we patented them though. I think we would have to have actually been smart enough to say you can't use those words.
I'm pretty sure we have a John Skipper contact. Let's just send him an email and just say, "Hey, Meadowlark, listen here."
At least Mike Greenberg on Get Up, he asks us permission to workshop and steal segments from us. He'll come on the show and work. Yeah,
that was the best part. They're like, "This is stupid."
Yeah, his crew didn't understand. He did reckless speculation one time. Literally, just like he said, "I'm going to steal that for Get Up tomorrow," and it was on Get Up, and he was trying to like convince Dominic Foxworth and Ryan Carter, or is it not Ryan Carter? What's his name? Ryan Carter is Ryan Clark. Yeah, Ryan Carter is the hockey guy on Bally's. Anyhow, here's how it works: 3 predictions from everybody each week on Write That Down. They must be quantifiable. That's really the only rule. We keep track of batting averages and home runs. And listeners, if you want to participate, like Supreme Court Justice Barry Anderson from the state of Minnesota is about to, you can send us a message through the SKOR North app. Are you ready to be held accountable, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Are you prepared mentally? Okay.
No, but I'm absolutely prepared to be held accountable.
Well, this accountability session is prevented by the folks that have helped Judd lose a truckload of weight and keep it off over the past calendar year.
Truckload. That's exactly right, Phil. Presented by my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. And yes, I said weight control because this is not a fad diet. This is not a diet at all. This is a way to lose weight like I did and keep that weight off. 40 pounds. Dawn's lost 16. We've had a ton of folks from our PD family who have tweeted us and said, "I've lost weight. It's been great." And now we want you to join us on a program in which if you sign up now, you're going to get the first 8 weeks for free. First 8 weeks for free, and with the new Flex program just introduced, it lets you enjoy the foods that you love: fruit, pasta, and even bread. 855-GO-LIVEA or online, Livia, LIVEA.com. Inside or outside the state, guess what? You join, you lose weight, you feel great. Livia.com.
All right.
Write that down.
Let's see how we did here in the last week. Judd?
Uh-oh.
Not a great week.
Uh-oh.
No.
You said Byron Buxton will return to the lineup this season and then will be subsequently shut down for the season. Well, you got half of that right, but
Twins lied to me. I'm mad. The Twins lied. How could they lie? How? Hold on. But we visit with Rocco Baldelli, the most truthful man in baseball.
coming up next, here's a half-hour special on Joe Ryan's walk-up music. That actually happened, by the way. Miguel Sano will hit at least one home run in the playoffs this season. You know, technically, the Twins haven't been eliminated yet mathematically.
No, just stop. Yeah, thank you.
Yep,
thank you. Don't even talk about it.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, they are mathematically still alive
please stop.
today.
Yep.
We're losing viewers as you speak.
Here's what would need to happen.
Yep. Audra?
When the baseball's in play, you never know.
these 9 teams would have to lose out, and this 10th team would have to tie every game,
Stella,
which isn't possible.
I need a Surly. Phil's talking Twins.
And then these 3 teams would have to be contracted before the end of the season.
New uniforms on deck.
Okay, Shohei Ohtani, you said, will hit 2 or more home runs against the Twins.
Wow.
He didn't hit any. He hasn't hit a home run in like 3 weeks. Neither has Aaron Judge, by the way. You might want to break that record here soon, guy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was kind of a bloodbath for old Macadac here, too. He faded the Gophers on Write That down.
To Declan, that was the best.
He faded the Gophers 3-point spread. He said when Byron Buxton comes back, he would doesn't matter. Twins will win a playoff game, and they'll sweep their first-round playoff matchup. I mean, I guess I didn't specify a year, but the spirit of this was for this year.
Yep.
And I know that the voting results won't come out for weeks, but I said Byron Buxton would be top 10 in American League MVP voting. I guess you could make a case that once he went out, they tanked, therefore he's valuable, but I'm not sure the voters are going to draw that conclusion.
No, they will not.
All right, listeners, bit of a mixed bag here. Matt said the Twins will win exactly 1 playoff game this year. Again, mathematically, it's still possible. Jay said both the 2022 Twins and this year's Vikings team will make the playoffs and have a first-round exit. Amir with a parlay. This should have been taken off a while back. 2 of these 3 wild players will be traded. Fiala? Yes. Dumba? No. Talbot? Yes. If you would have stopped there, this would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been
But then he
ridiculous.
added, if Fiala is traded, it'll be to the Senators. And he added for specifically the 7th overall pick. And then at some point, Jesper Wallstead will be called up to the Wild in 2022-23. Just a bold parlay here.
Don't parlay, kids. Don't parlay, kids.
Yeah, just stop at that first one. It would have been good. And then Ben said the Wolves, Wild, Twins, Vikings will each make the playoffs this season. Twins are ruining it for everybody. I believe these are 2 different Knicks.
Yeah.
One of them said Twins will not win a playoff game this year. And the other Nick said the Twins will miss the playoffs entirely this year. Okay. Not a bad week for Declan. You said, we'll start with the bad. Twins will retake sole possession of first place sometime after Labor Day. That is not going to happen. Unless you count, like, after Labor Day through eternity.
No, you can. No.
Okay. But you did say you bought some Gopher stock here. You said at some point the Gopher football team will be a top 25 ranked team. That came true very quickly. And you said the Gophers will cover the spread against Michigan State, which they did by several touchdowns.
What a sucker bet of prediction on my end. I can't believe I did that.
I was hacked.
Wow.
My microphone was hacked. I'm not sure what happened.
Interesting.
Sorry, Declan, I was wrong. Declan, you're batting .464, which leads the league with 13 home runs, which also leads the league. Judd's at .387 with 8 home runs. I'm at .293 with 11 bombs, just ahead of the listeners who are at .286 with 11 bombs. All time, Judd leads with 241 career hits. Listeners lead with 30 career home runs. So there you go. That's your accountability session here. Let's bring in our guest listener predictor on the show today, gentlemen. He is the Honorable Minnesota Supreme Court Justice and longtime supporter of all iterations of Mackey and Judd and SKOR North and 1500 ESPN, Justice Barry Anderson. Welcome to Write That Down.
Well, I appreciate that kind introduction. I should note that I am so old that I can honestly say that shortly after my appointment to the court in 2004, I made an appearance on AM 1500 radio.
Wow.
And I can't even tell you who it was with, but they were harassing me about something.
There were
that was in the
several
news.
different radio lineups there. Garage Logic was the staple, and then about 53 other iterations, including us.
Yes. So, no, I think we started this conversation when I ran into you guys at the golf show many years ago and said, I should really make an appearance. Well, here I am. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, Barry wins points for being the best dressed and, to be honest, for actually showering today, it looks like. So he's got the tie on. I showered too, for the record.
It's only for you guys. That's I should say, by the way, I've got my Harmon Killable bobblehead to advise me on my performance.
Now
today.
this is awesome. That's great. I love that.
And Judd, you got your Sid Hartman bobblehead there
Yep.
to cozy up. Okay.
Because in fact, I got 2 Sids now. I didn't even
wow.
realize this until I found them. There's double Sid. How about that?
Wow, look at you, man. Amazing. So Justice Anderson, when did you first become a Minnesota sports fan? And when did Minnesota sports first crush your soul?
The latter question can't be answered because, I can't recall back that far. I mean, it's, I'm 67 years old, so I suppose I was 4 or 5 or something. I can tell you this, my late father, he died when I was about 11 years old, but my late father and his business partner, Clark Gibb, met drinking nickel beer in Dinkytown in 1937 or 38.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were dedicated Gopher sports fans. And Clark, for many years, his partner is a business partner for many years. This was going to be the year that the ghost of Bernie Bierman returned and the Gophers were going to go to the Rose Bowl. He died in his 90s, have that wish unfulfilled. So So there's a long history of connection with Minnesota sports, particularly baseball, which makes this year a little frustrating, but particularly baseball for me. So.
Well, you're gonna want to go check out. We just got done recording a little half-hour session about the Gophers and potentially landing in the college football playoff this year. So that'll be posted. Of course, that means they're going to get beat by Purdue this weekend, and that's what always happens with the Gophers. But we might have jinxed
whenever we get to be really confident that this year they've got it figured out. Let's remember Illinois last year.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah.
So,
I've been telling these guys,
something.
don't sleep on that Illinois game this year too. They're off to a decent start, and Bielema owns the Gophers, so we'll see. Should we get into some predictions here, boys?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, we're going to start with Barry Anderson here, and we're going to go over to Judd, Declan, and me. We'll make 3 trips around the room here. It is write that down.
Write that down.
Justice Anderson, you can lead us off, sir.
All right, so let's talk a little history here. The Wild, if I recall correctly, came to Minnesota in about 2000, and since the current lineup of our 4 major men's professional sports over that little more than 2 decades, if I'm correct, at no time has 2 of our teams in a calendar year made the conference final, or for baseball, it would be, of course, the league championship series. 2003 and 4 were good years for us. The Timberwolves and the Wild both made conference finals, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And of course, the Vikings have made it 3 times since 2000.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the Twins haven't won a playoff game since 2004.
Wait,
Phil, why don't you mention that?
wait, how are you? No, that's not possible.
I researched this thoroughly myself, and they have not won a playoff game. Since
I actually, so I have contractually obligated to tweet that statistic out every half hour, and I have the last time I tweeted it out, multiple people literally tried to correct me and say, "You mean a playoff series, right?" No.
Think about that.
Game.
Yep.
It's a 50-50 sport. Amazing.
What's interesting about this is they were in the championship series in 2002. They lost to Anaheim, as I recall, 4-1. But anyway, here's this is a home run. I declare it so if we deliver, if the teams deliver here. But in calendar year 2023. 2 of our 4 misbegotten, most often unsuccessful teams are going to make the conference final in their sport or its equivalent. Baseball would be the championship series.
Yes.
All right.
So
and we're gonna count the 2023. How does that work for so the Vikings would have to
correct.
get there in
the Vikings,
next year?
The Vikings would be a contender, I mean, maybe they've got it all figured out. Maybe not.
But for clarification, you said in the calendar year, so that would be this year's Vikings team spilling over into this January. Okay.
Right, correct.
Okay.
So it would and the Timberwolves and the Wild will start this year, but their conference finals will be in 2023. Vikings. Right. And I mean, I don't want to cause cardiac arrest here, but somehow Atlanta won the World Series last year, so I think it's at least possible the Twins could make it, right?
I love it. After all these decades.
Justice, are you feeling well?
Yeah.
I'm
You're
worried
looking for
about
Valley
you.
Sports.
Blink twice if something's wrong.
I have a serious.
Coming up next on Valley Sports North, Justice
Justice
Barry Anderson
Anderson.
brings some
Yeah,
positivity.
you better watch out. Bally's is going to come lure you away from your
Sir,
job.
have you ever thought about a career in media, sir?
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I'm always afraid they'll block me or something. So anyway.
Yeah, be careful
Anyway,
out
so
there.
that's my prediction there.
All right.
Love it.
All right.
Write this down.
All right, Judd, over to you. Your first prediction.
I'm going back to my Gopher football prediction that I used for a couple consecutive weeks, and then Declan used last week. The Gophers will cover the 10.5 point spread, which is what I found yesterday against Purdue in Saturday's game. So I found that they are favored by 10.5. They will cover that spread Saturday.
Okay.
All right.
Well, dominant performance. I almost feel like now it's like it'd be disappointing if they didn't win by 20 or 30 points. You'd think less of them if they had to eke out a win in this game. I know Judd would think less of them.
If they lose to Iowa or Wisconsin, I'm down on them this time.
Write that down.
All right, Declan, over to you.
Shocking. Parlay for the Gophers as well. This is a touchdown. Gophers win. Tanner Morgan goes for 250 yards and accounts for 3 touchdowns.
Okay, so 250 or more, I'm guessing.
Yep. Yeah.
And
At
and that
least.
is all-purpose yards or passing yards?
Passing. I'm going to go with passing. But he
Okay.
accounts for 3 touchdowns, and one of those could be a rushing or
Okay.
whatever. Maybe he receives one. But yeah,
Yep.
250 passing yards, 3 touchdowns for Tanner Morgan, and a Gophers win.
Okay,
Write it down.
that's good enough.
Write that down.
Good enough. Okay, write this down. So earlier on Mackie and Judd, I compared this year's team to 2019 Gophers, saying that this year's team is better. That team might have, they had Rashad Bateman, Antoine Winfield, but this is a better overall team. They've got better coordinators. It's a better team. Tanner Morgan's more experienced. But this year's Gophers will be snubbed in a way that the 2019 Gophers were not. We got game day on campus, a snowy, fun morning before the Wisconsin
great.
game. It was a freaking blast. A bunch of us at SKOR got up at like 4 a.m. to go and just pass donuts out to tailgaters and stuff. They are going to get snubbed. No college. We think this is going to be a magic carpet ride, but game day will not come to the University of Minnesota campus to celebrate like they did in 2019. They will have a chance. I think it's the
Sad.
Iowa game is home, right? And Iowa
Yes,
will not hold up
Iowa's-
their end of
Yeah.
the bargain, unfortunately.
And I was unwatchable. My God.
So we will not have a campus edition
Wow.
of College Game Day.
Bringing it down on Write That
unfortunately.
Down.
I also need some hits, and I think it's likely that one is a hit for me. So
Write that
Yes. Yeah. I kind of take a little issue with this. That's okay.
just please, you're leading by 200 points over me. Just give me a
I
hit.
don't take issue. I'm just saddened.
All right. Oh, back over to Justice Barry
Write that
Anderson.
down.
So the first thing I need to do to really cement my reputation as a Minnesota sports fan optimist, I want to be very clear that my previous prediction relates to at least 2 of our teams will make the conference finals or its equivalent. In case 3 or 4 do. I don't want to be. I want to be disqualified on.
That's
a
fair, yeah.
technicality.
I love how you're thinking.
Yeah.
I love how you're playing the game.
That's how you play the game. Attention to detail. Okay.
So now on to my second prediction. I had the opportunity to park myself in front of the television on Sunday night and watch the women's volleyball team at the University of Minnesota defeat Wisconsin in straight sets. I think one of the, I'm not going to say it's underappreciated because I think they do get a fair amount of coverage, but I think we don't necessarily always understand how successful that program has been there. They have made the Final Four on 5 occasions and lost in the championship game at least once. Might have been twice. I might be wrong about that. But in any event, that's been a very successful program under both Hugh McCutcheon and his predecessor, Mike Hebert. And I'm going to both this prediction and my next one relate to the Gophers. And in this case, I am predicting that the Gopher women are going to be in the Final Four. And you can write that down.
Love it.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get
And
it.
that is a great program.
It is.
McCutcheon's an unbelievable coach.
It's kind of, I love it when just something random happens. Like, it's kind of random, right? That Minnesota has one of the best women's volleyball programs. And part of it's because the coaching and the,
Yeah, I
and the
think they got
recruiting
the
and
right coach.
stuff. But
Yep.
it's like, why would Minnesota have one of the 8 to 10 best volleyball programs? I don't know.
And he doesn't
but
leave
it's
us. We got a good coach, and my God, he has stayed.
Great. That's great. Yes. Let's get
Where's
it.
Notre Dame?
Coaches the Olympics. Judd's favorite thing too. He's,
Yeah, I don't like the
great-
Olympics. It's okay.
Yeah. All right, Judd, your second prediction here.
So in their first preseason game on Sunday night against the Avalanche at the X, Kirill Kaprizov took a shot that glanced off, hit his skate boot. He left hobbled eventually, and he didn't practice the next day. So write this down. Kirill Kaprizov will not play in another preseason game this fall. I'm willing this. I hate preseason games. I hate star players playing.
Well,
in
look what's
preseason
happening
games.
in the NFL the first month. You can't sit there and criticize how bad the NFL looks.
Yep.
And then also
No, but I'm not.
not
but I'm
want
not.
players to play preseason.
But I don't. I've now come around. I said this when O'Connell
You're embracing
didn't,
the bad football.
When O'Connell didn't play, well, first of all, if you still played 4 preseason games and your starters played basically the first half of game 3, that might influence a bit, but it's not worth it. So, yes, I am embracing whatever we get because what I really don't want is star players going out in exhibition games. So, Kirill Kaprizov, done for the preseason. Take it off, practice a few times, and we'll see you against the Rangers.
All right, sounds good. Back over to Declan here.
All right, I'll make a wild one prediction too. Judd and I actually will probably talk about this week on Judd's Hockey Show. But Tyson Jost has got a little bit of an elevated role here. He was traded from Colorado for Nico Sturm straight up, a former 10th overall pick in the draft not too long ago. So write this down. Tyson Jost scores the first goal for the Wild this season.
Ooh.
First goal,
right last
2
year,
preseason goals yesterday.
Yeah.
But Tyson Jost scores the first goal for the Wild in the regular season. Write it down.
All right, I'll make a wild prediction here. This wasn't part of my scripted 15 plays here, but I'm gonna add one in here on the fly. So, how many games did it take? People freaked out early last season because Kaprizov didn't score a goal for the first 7 games or something.
Yeah, and he did it his rookie year too, where he's just gets off to a little bit of a slow start sometimes.
Not this year.
Not this year, says Phil.
Old Makadak's gonna swing for the fences here. A multi-goal game in the first 2 games for Kirill Kaprizov. He will have a multi-goal game in either the first or second game of the season.
First or second.
All right.
Okay.
I'm giving a little leeway, but I still think it's a home run. A multi-goal game in there. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
Write that down.
All right, third and final prediction here for Justice Barry Anderson.
All right. So I said earlier that I was going to make 2 Gopher selections. We talked about the volleyball team in my previous prediction. And here my prediction is that Ben Johnson's Gophers are going to make the NCAA tournament in 2023. And by make the tournament, I'm including those ridiculous play-in games, or whatever they call them. They're part of the tournament as well, as far as I'm concerned.
So if they're a 12 seed up against some other
Dayton.
Dayton Flyers or something.
Live from Jim and Dayton.
I think he's building something there. And, I realized that they've had some injuries, and I realized last year I think they finished last. But you see these kinds of things happen in college basketball occasionally. And as I said, cementing my reputation as a Minnesota sports fan optimist, the Gopher men's basketball team is going to make the NCAA basketball tournament in 2023. You can write it down.
That's a home run.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a home run.
right? They're
1,000%.
not projected at all. So we're going to give Barry the rouser here.
Home run. Barry is just coming through. Maroon and gold positivity.
All right. Well, since you have this life-changing platform here on Mackie and Judd, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment here?
Well, I want to make two observations. First, I just want to say that I had the privilege before, and just an enormous privilege to serve people of the state of Minnesota as a member of this court. And I invite people, if you have an opportunity to get to the Capitol, to take a tour of I'm looking out my window, you can see it from here. Take a tour of the Capitol and pay particular attention to the Minnesota Supreme Court courtroom. All of those facilities over there have been remodeled and restored. The building went up in 1905, and it is just in tremendous condition. And I think that courtroom is among the most spectacular in the country, and I think that's true of the Capitol as a whole. So if you have an opportunity, get over here. In terms of answering your question, I will just say this: I had the great good fortune to grow up in Mankato and to practice law in Fairmont and Hutchinson. Both those communities, incidentally, have some pretty interesting connections to sports history in Minnesota, particularly in football. And of course, in Hutchinson, the Lindsay Whalen and the girls basketball team from the Hutchinson Tigers there. But more generally, that was a great experience for me. And for young lawyers and others who think the civilization ends with the 7-county mosquito control district, it doesn't. There are things to see, things to do, places to go, and places to live in this state that are far more than just everything that's inside the 494, 694 corridor. So anyway, that's what I would offer on that question, and I'm grateful that you couldn't find somebody competent and actually knew the subject matter to participate today, so I could participate.
You were great.
Well, we appreciate your participation. We'll definitely not make this the last time, and we appreciate all your support over the years of the different iterations of Mackey and Judd, and from 1500 ESPN into SKOR North. We think we have finally found something here, and we appreciate that you've supported us all these years.
Well, I will say this: your competitors across the street, they get my former colleague and friend, the NFL Hall of Fame Alan Page to occasionally call in, and you guys get me. But it's the way it goes sometimes.
Exactly. I think maybe we'll get Alan Page on at some point, but I don't know how he could top the entertaining last 20 minutes here. So good luck to him.
Write that down with Page. I don't see it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I don't see that one.
Justice
You were
Anderson,
great.
thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
All right, very good.
We'll talk again sometime soon.
See you later.
All right, great stuff. Before we make our last round of predictions here, let's shout out one of our partners on SKOR North, Mackey and Judd Purple Daily, Hail Ace, Declan.
Yes, Hail Ace. If you have some hail damage, which we had a bunch of it this spring, we even had some hail just last week here in the Twin Cities. Go check out our guys at Hail Ace and hailace.com. They'll help you work with your insurance company. They will take care of that nasty hail damage for you. Book your appointment. It's a very simple website. Go to hailace.com. Book that appointment. It helps us out at SKOR North. It helps out our guy Adam at Hail Ace. Hailace.com. Get that dent repair figured out. Hailace.com to book your appointment now.
Write that down.
All right. One final round here. Judd Zolgad.
All right, going back to Huntington Bank Stadium for Saturday's game. The Gophers and Purdue will go under 53.5 points Saturday.
Going to grind it out, huh?
So it's 53. Well,
So 50 to 3, a 50 to 3 victory would go under, right?
yes,
53.
yes,
Yeah,
and,
it would.
yes,
Yeah.
and I don't think I think the
49
Gophers
to
are
3.
going. I think the Gophers are going to score points. I think Purdue is going to struggle, and we still don't know if the Purdue starting quarterback is going to come back, and if he doesn't, a Slappy starts. So
Slappy.
they're not going to school the Gophers defense with a backup QB. So I'm banking on that partially, but yes, I think 53.5 is a pretty high. It's a pretty high figure, in my opinion, for a Big Ten game, in which I do think that, if the Gophers score 35 or something, I don't think Purdue offsets that. So
Okay.
Write
Like
that down.
35 to 10. How about 35,
Yeah, something
14, maybe a garbage time touchdown?
Yeah, it might get close. It might get close.
Something like
course.
that. They're
I don't think
losing,
it's
aren't
gonna
they? They're
go crazy.
totally losing now.
No, just stop. Just stop. At least for now.
All right, Declan.
A Vikings prediction for me. So this has moved up a little bit. And now the Saints apparently might be starting Andy Dalton against the Vikings. Apparently he was taking first-team reps. Taysom Hill was even getting in some first-team reps at practice this morning. So Jameis Winston in that fractured back might be taking a seat there. But regardless, right now the Vikings are 3-point favorites against the Saints. So I'm going to lock that in that the Vikings win and cover the 3-point spread against the Saints in London.
Gosh, I mean, please
Good.
start Andy Dalton. Please
Yeah.
start Andy Dalton. And
Apparently-
even Jameis with a half-broken back, too.
Dalton
the
beat
Vikings
him,
should
right?
win this game.
Dalton's beating the
Dalton
Vikings.
You beat
the
him with the
Vikings.
Bears, with the Bears, maybe?
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Cowboys, yep.
Cowboys
that's right.
in 2020.
That's right. They've lost at home, I believe, to Andy
Cooper
Dalton.
Rush,
and Cooper
Andy
Rush.
Dalton.
The Cooper
Jeez.
Rush one does not look as bad now. The Dalton one still is bad.
The Cooper Rush one
The Rush
still
one's
looks pretty
bad. It's pretty bad.
Cooper
That was
Rush
his first
is
start.
3-0. He knows the system, and Dak
The
Prescott's
Cowboys
in
are
trouble.
3-0. I know people are going to. I mean, you're a quarterback wins guy. Over like 100 starts,
Cooper
you can
Rush
you can
looks good.
deduce some things from
You
quarterback.
got to watch that game like I did. My eye on Monday was very, very honed.
He
and
was
fine-tuned.
fine. He was fine.
Very
Write it
impressed.
down. You like writing things down.
Okay, write this down. I did find this. So this is happening here. The Minnesota Twins, we talked about this with Royce earlier this week. They are going to spend the entire offseason putting a new $33 million video board up at Target Field. So we are just over 10 years past the construction of that stadium. We've already knocked out all of the things that were like up behind the outfield. The main video board, the advertising boards out in right field, where we've redone all of them in 10 years. So anyhow, my prediction is, write this down, the Twins will spend more on a new video board this winter, $33 million reportedly, than they'll spend on any individual free agent that they bring in before the start of the season, average annual value.
Okay.
So they and what I'm getting at here is they will not sign a top free agent, because the top free agents now are making 35, 37, $40 million, and that will continue this offseason. Some are making less than that, but there's like 10 guys now that are, including Correa, that are up over $33 million a year. So my main point here is they will spend more on a new video board than they will on a player average annual value this winter.
Got it.
To be clear, and I'm fine with this, but we're going to get tweets that say the Twins are splitting the cost. So like your point is on point, but
Okay.
just so
What's
like
the
when
split?
we get
What's the
tweets,
split?
I think it's half and half or something. It's essentially the stadium commission, I think, is going to pay for half, and the Twins are, but I'm fine with it. My point is, before we get tweets saying,
I would
"Hey,
be willing
Phil, you're
to
wrong."
I'd be willing to negotiate a 50-50 split and keeping the prediction.
It's
I don't
up
know
to
that
you.
they're
I'm
going to
just
send. I
trying
mean,
to stop the.
So no free agent will have over 17 million per.
the prediction I want is 33 million.
I'm
per.
fine with it.
Right.
But if you're trying to
No, I'm
loophole
not-
me into,
No. I'm just saying, before we get notes saying Macadac's an idiot and they're not paying the whole thing, blah blah blah. I'm just trying to cut that off. I'm fine with the prediction.
you know what?
You can
if I
keep
think
it.
I think is it a home run if I do it the other way? If I do 17,
Yeah.
call it 17, and will
Yeah.
be 17.
Well, I mean,
Six. Well, yeah.
it's a home run, but I think it's probably still right. I was just trying to
16 and a
get
half technically.
in the way of the people who hate you, and we're going to point out that your prediction was.
Let's keep it. Let's keep
I'm
it
fine with
33. We'll keep it 33
Okay.
because it's
All
a
right.
top free agent. They will
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
And but they signed Correa. Not really.
Okay. All right.
Correa
Okay.
fell into their lap, and by the way, if Correa opts back in, that doesn't count because it's part of his contract. So
Okay.
he's not going to opt back in. But anyhow,
Fair enough.
all right, there you go. Those are your write that down predictions here at an accountability session, the only show in America, even though there are shows trying to steal our best segments, bits, and benchmarks. Looking at you, Lebitard, NFL Network, acknowledge us.
We got a Supreme Court justice from our fine state on this show. That is really cool.
It is, yeah. He's.
And by the way, his backdrop, it was marvelous. I love the books.
Do you think Justice Barry has read all those books?
I was going to ask him that. I almost asked him that. I was going to say,
honest.
be honest, how many of those books, Justice, have you read? Your Honor, I ask you, how many of those books have you actually read?
What are people going to do in like 50 years when there's no more, when like books don't really exist anymore and they're not like on people's walls anymore? What are people going to put behind them on interviews and stuff? Like pretty much every TV interview, people have like here's the 10 books that I am proud of, right? Put a Kindle back there, just rotating.
Would
pictures of your favorite
academics, would they continue to manufacture like false books that just look like books as backdrops?
That might be a business opportunity for us.
Because I think
we've got fake books for you
And
to
books
put in the
will be
background of
then-
your Zoom calls.
retro, right? Like my grandpappy had these things called books, and they were great backdrops. Hollow books, nothing in them, just the binder, so it looks like a book.
I think this is your life-changing business opportunity right here. I think you should explore this.
It's going to get stolen by 3 p.m. today.
No, it won't.
Write this down.
All right, we'll see you guys on Purple Daily.